The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
What time is it?
I started to question myself if I was watching Lucha Underground and I had accidentally flipped over to Cinemax.
Not a whole lot of faces shown as far when it comes to Brenda, so
yeah,
you're spot on there, buddy.
This is the house that AJ Styles built.
Like Nakamura, he's just such a great star. It doesn't matter what you do with him, people are going to cheer for him.
Did you feel the gloriousness? Did you feel it? Bobby Roode did his job.
This is insane how great they are.
Well, I think the authors of pain are young prodigies.
That's how good we are representing Bullet Club. This is what we do.
Super Kid Pate! Japan!
Listen, I'm looking way past SummerSlam. I will beat Shinsuke Nakamura just like I was about to beat John Cena when Baron Corbin cashed in his Money in the Bank contract. Unsuccessfully. He is no longer a threat. He's at the back of the line now.
All the way back.
At the bottom of the barrel, brother. What a great day. Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the max.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughan, Sean Garmer, and Paul Leazar.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wrestling to the Max, episode 260, part 2. And yes, we are brought to you by W2Mnet.com as well as 411mania.com. Hey, and if you haven't done it already, go subscribe, rate, and review over there at Wrestling to the Max. That's right, you get all our great content. Search us out on YouTube as well. All the great content that you can handle when it comes to the world of wrestling. I am your host, Gary Vaughan. Along with me is Mr. Paul Leazar.
Heyo.
And, of course, well, most of him is here, at least, Mr. Sean Garmer.
Yeah, I'm missing a body part now, so... Or an internal body part, I should say.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if people heard that, if you've paid attention to our Facebook group, everyone, to Wrestling to the Max, go join it if you haven't already, because it's awesome. You get lots of great wrestling, news, and, of course, us, all of us kind of going back and forth on there. Anyway, you heard about Sean's having surgery, and, Sean, I'll let you tell everybody about surgery, but, he didn't lose an appendage that was very vital to anything particular. I'll let him tell you what kind of surgery it was, though.
Yeah, so on Monday when I didn't listen to the shows just because I was more preoccupied with having surgery and everything. But I'm sure y'all probably mentioned that I wasn't. At that point, it was only stomach pains. So I'm sitting there and I can't go to sleep. I got to work in like 3 hours at that point. I'm like, you know what? Let's just go to the hospital. It's like 2 minutes from here. I'll just try to figure out. Literally, the hospital's literally like 2 minutes from where I live, so it's like I'll go. There's probably nobody there. There wasn't anybody there, thankfully. And I'll find out that this is like acid reflux or something, which I've had on and off in my life, and they'll give me pills, and I'll be out of here, right? And so I get there. They go, let's just do a CT scan to make sure. They do a CT scan. Oh, you have appendicitis. Oh, you're going to do surgery in about like 2 hours. Oh, what? I now have surgery that I have to do. So, yeah, I got my appendix taken out. I had to be in the hospital for like a day. And so that's why I wasn't there on Monday.
Yeah.
But, so, I can still speak. So, I'm here today. So, but it hurts a lot. It hurts while I'm sitting here.
I was so concerned, because Paul and I were kind of waiting to find out if you were going to do the show on Monday, and then you're like, man, my stomach hurts, and I talked to you on the phone, and like, man, he sounds like he's in pain. He's like, man, that's not usually Sean. Even when you're sick, you don't sound like that. So I was thinking to myself, man, something's going on, and to wake up to that text message of, oh, I got appendicitis, I got to have surgery. I was like, wow, that was way out of left field. I just thought maybe we were going to say, hey, just had really bad gas last night or something, So, but yeah, at least you're here and you're not, still in the hospital. And I'm glad it was something that they could take care of in a timely manner, So, you got a lot of love from the Facebook group and a lot of other people, and a lot of people were praying for you. So, man, I'm just glad you're here, Sean, because this is a big show we're going to have tonight. And I know, Paul, you're glad you're not stuck with me solo again.
We always have fun doing it solo. Realistically, I'm surprised there's still a podcast, because you and me, when Sean's not around to kind of rein us in, we maybe cross some lines we shouldn't.
Yeah, it's kind of that
just
crazy.
Know that every time you guys make me laugh, my stomach hurts. So.
Well, oof. This could be a little bit of a problem tonight, but we'll try.
I'll just say "ow, ow" every time, and you guys could laugh.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that means that the translation of "ow, ow" is "ha ha ha." So
exactly.
Oh man, I love it. But no, I'm so happy to have you back, Sean, and we got a huge show for everyone tonight. We kind of talked about this on Monday that we were going to have a giant show. Well, guess what? It is here. I am super stoked. A lot of great content. We are going to talk NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3, predict all the matches, and kind of give you our thoughts on what's going to be taking place this Saturday night, along with, guys, we'll be talking SummerSlam as well and predicting all the matches for that. So there's a lot of good stuff when it comes to predicting. Plus, we'll be jumping into the big news topics of this week and quick hits, along with reviewing Lucha Underground and Global Force Wrestling Impact this week. So a ton of stuff to get into, plus crowning a Superstar of the Week. I am more than excited about doing all this stuff tonight. And, of course, it's great to have us all here to do it. So, but yeah, why don't we go ahead and get this thing going? We've got a lot to talk about. So we'll go ahead and start this thing off by talking NXT Brooklyn. That's right. Let's do it next.
Take it away, Gary.
All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and kick this thing off by talking about a match between Johnny Gargano and Cien Almas. And, of course, he'll have at his side Vega. And this will be kind of an interesting match. I know, the build to it has been kind of light, but still really exciting, I think. And I think we're going to get a barn burner here, if you ask me. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, I am looking forward to this. This is just one of the matches on here, though, that I think you're going to run into issues with, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to have Almas lose so soon after getting Zelina, and it also doesn't make a ton of sense for Johnny to lose so soon into a singles run either. But I think with Gargano being like he is, it's going to be much easier to build him. So if he has to take a loss here or something like that, I think that's the preferable option. So I'm going to pick Almas to win here just because I think he needs it more. But this match should be great. These two are terrific performers, and we've seen Almas have some sneaky good matches that steal the show, and I'm expecting that here.
Yeah, every time Almas gets put in one of these spots where we go, well, where exactly is he at in the pecking order now? And you go, he's probably going to mail it in or whatever, and no, he winds up putting on this terrific performance, and you're like, okay, I'm sold. And now he has Zelina, who's kind of revitalized him a bit, making you pay more attention than what he does, and now he has this match, and you're going, for some reason I'm blanking on his opponent with
Johnny Gargano.
Johnny Gargano, who is awesome in his own right. And, when Johnny Gargano has a match like he showed on Wednesday, he can put on fantastic performances, and he puts on every match. So put these two together, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, you're right. And, I look forward to, an extremely athletic matchup. But, your point, Paul, who's going to win? That really is a touchy subject, and I don't know. It's hard for me to pick, but I would almost lean towards maybe Almas winning only for the fact that I think Gargano chasing and trying to get that victory would be awesome. You have Gargano win, it's great, but it really doesn't give Almas that great of a look, and you don't want to start off in a bad way with him. I think Gargano could afford a loss. But who knows? That's the way I'm going to go with it. Let's talk about one of my favorite people in the entire business of professional wrestling. Aleister Black will be taking on Hideo Itami. And this is one, Sean, that I think will be a lot of fun to watch, too. Both these guys are super talented. Should be a hard-hitting match, I think.
Yeah. Hold on. Trying to avoid what happened on the football podcast here where Grandma decided to talk in the middle of this was so like you guys did listen, but we had a situation where at that point my daughter was awake. She was telling her to shush because I'm recording and she's talking, and I'm trying to get her to not talk to me while we're doing this. It's great. Go ahead, Paul. I'm sorry.
So this match is just a big wet dream, if you ask me. It's two guys who are known for just kicking the absolute bejesus out of each other, seemingly at random and for fun, and if they don't spend the entire 15 minutes just kicking, I'm going to be supremely upset. I know it's impossible to think that way and want it, but, these guys, they're going to go out there and put on a great match. It's Aleister Black's rise right now. It's all about him, and as great as Itami has been, as great, I'm sure this match is going to be. Aleister Black's walking away with the W here.
Yeah, I think anything involving Aleister Black right now is a win. Doesn't matter who he's against at this point. This dude is primed to be the next NXT superstar. He's the guy that's going to be taking that mantle from lots of rumors that Bobby Roode could be going in that superstar shakeup, So if that so happens, I think even over Drew McIntyre, even over Roderick Strong, Tommy's facing him and losing here, Black is going to be that guy that you're going, okay, this is the guy that's going to be selling us tickets for these NXT live events and everything else. For a long time, and I'm just excited for all the kicks because that's going to happen in this match, and they're going to be who's going to kick the tar out of the other one more. Basically, is what I get out of this, and Aleister Black with the black mask is going to be doing it at the end.
I think so. It's so funny to talk about Aleister Black, and he's such a guy that gets attention based on his entrance and everything he's about. But what I think it was like 2 weeks ago, me and Harry covered NXT together, and we were talking about really in depth, who does Aleister Black remind you of? And I kind of had a Stone Cold comparison only because he's got a great entrance and his, black mask could be hit from anywhere. And Harry brought up a good opinion about CM Punk, kind of a comparison, they have the same kind of style when it comes to, character and attitude and the way he kind of handles himself. So it's interesting, and I think that's what makes this matchup really kind of fun, too, to look at, because Hideo Itami is a guy that was supposed to be one of the guys in that main event picture for NXT, but all of a sudden now a guy like Aleister Black is moving up the ranks, and I think this is going to be a fun match. I cannot wait to see this one. Let's talk about the NXT Tag Championship match between the Authors of Pain and Sanity. And, of course, that's Killian Dane and Alexander Wolf. Of course, Eric Young will be out there, and don't be surprised to see Nikki Cross as well. Wow, Paul. This could be maybe the chance of Authors of Pain losing. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm really looking forward to this one, too, just because with Killian Dane in there, you're going to get a lot of great brawling, and Alexander Wolf seems to have a death wish of wanting to just sell everything he can get his hands on, and There will be no shortage of that in this matchup. This one's a little tough to call, right? Because Sanity has the numbers game here with all the extracurriculars on the outside. They seem to be high on Dane, and maybe giving him a spotlight here works. But I think the Authors of Pain are in for a long run. I think they want to keep them with the championships, especially for when TM61 comes back. You have a ready-made feud all ready to go, and you can sort of just abide your time with whatever else you want to do with these guys. So I think the Authors of Pain managed to overcome here, but Sanity will probably look pretty darn good in this showing.
Yeah, I think at the end, this is kind of what it is. I mean, Sanity got announced as being in the video game now, so, I mean, hey, you want a great showing. Now you want people to play as you in that game and everything, so I think most of all, too, you're going to fight the crowd, right? Because you got Authors of Pain people don't like so much. You got Sanity that are heel faction. So you got to put on a great performance wrestling-wise to get that crowd to be into you. Yes, the Brooklyn crowd, they're probably going to be kind of into everything. But, sometimes they actually like to play along, and if you kind of get dead air, depending on, especially on where this gets put in the show too, lots of things kind of riding against them. Can an Eric Young, Killian Dane, whoever's going to be fighting on this side here, put on a good match with these guys, and especially when the tag team titles have been something that's been delivering for so many takeovers now.
Yeah, exactly. And this is going to be one of those, I think it'll just, continue on that. I look at this match of being very hard to kind of break down and actually come up with a winner, because I think Sanity desperately could use a huge win like this and take those tag belts and hold them hostage and really run with it. But I think the Authors of Pain are still on this great journey, and they still have so much to offer as the tag champs, and I just don't know if I'm ready for them to take those belts and move them over off the Authors of Pain. So I am going to choose the Authors of Pain to retain their belts, but it's not because I don't think that the Sanity definitely needs them or deserves them. I think it's just I have this gut feeling I'm going to go with. So there you go. Let's talk about the NXT Women's Championship match, and this is, of course, between Asuka and Ember Moon. And this has been a journey, especially for Ember Moon, who's been injured here and there, and it's really kind of delayed her chances to get to the NXT Women's Championship. But now she's finally here in this giant matchup. There's lots of rumors Asuka could be moving on to the main roster post NXT TakeOver. I don't know if those rumors are true or not, but what I do know is Ember Moon seems to be the one, Sean, to be the next in line to possibly hold that NXT Women's Championship.
Oh, I think I forgot to go. I'm going to go with you, Gary, and go with the Authors of Pain too on the previous match. I just, in a weird way, I almost feel like I almost want to see Asuka do a Paige and just move up without losing the title, just because I want to see her be in a way. Not that I want her first loss to be on the main roster or anything, because I don't know that there's anybody on WWE's women's roster, period, that kind of touches her at all. But I almost feel like she shouldn't lose in NXT. So I wouldn't have a problem with her retaining here at all. I mean, obviously, if it's not her time to move on, then I think she should retain. But then does that mean that you're waiting for somebody else and not Ember Moon to take the title? And I feel like she's done enough. She's done enough to also deserve being the one to take that from Asuka and be the one that moves things along and says, okay, here's the new era of NXT Women's Division. But there's a part of me that just kind of says, I feel like Asuka's still retaining here.
Asuka has held the NXT Women's Championship for over 500 days. She's the longest reigning champion now in the modern era. She's been undefeated longer than Goldberg has. She's got all these great accolades. you're on this huge stage in Brooklyn where the NXT faithful, pretty much converges, and you get one of the loudest crowds in wrestling of the year. And Ember Moon is tipped as the heir apparent from the looks of it. I don't see why you wouldn't move the championship over here. I'm a little less sold than what I was when she first got here that she maybe should be, but I don't think anybody else is as ready as she is, honestly. So, with a whole new crop of women possibly coming through in the wake of the Mae Young Classic, I think Ember Moon holding the championship here and winning it is fine. If Asuka's not going to move up, you can rematch later if you want, but I think Ember Moon takes this.
Yeah, I'm with you. Ember Moon for me as well. I look at this as being a great situation for Asuka to finally move on. And not only that, for Ember Moon to basically be that new champion while those new ladies or new faces are circulating around this NXT roster. I think it's a good deal. We've seen so many different ladies they've been trying to bring up, like Sonya. You've seen the way they try to use her and, be more predominant, and so many others that we've talked about in the past. So I think Ember Moon, getting the title here just makes too much sense. Well, let's talk about the NXT World Heavyweight Championship. And that, of course, is between Drew McIntyre and the champion himself, Bobby Roode. And this one, man, I'm really, really looking forward to. I think it's going to be exciting. Paul, what do you think about this one? Do you think Roode continues to be the champion?
This is a great situation for NXT to be in here, because I think you're a win-win no matter what you do. If Drew wins, that's awesome, because Bobby still has the feud with Roderick. They're not... Roderick's already said he's not even worried about the title right now. He just wants revenge on Bobby. That's a real easy shunt to put Bobby in for now. If you want to keep it on Bobby, that's completely fine with me. I've enjoyed his run as champion. I'm not really ready for it to end yet. And there's so many great faces on the roster for him to face still, that he could keep on going with. I feel like the heel side is a little weaker as far as main events go. So, giving it to Drew might, be a little bit of a step back as far as builds go, but then again, Drew's willing to fight anybody, so maybe it doesn't really matter. But when it comes to something like this, I got to go with what my gut's telling me, and I'm going to pick Bobby to retain just because I'm just such a huge fan of his work.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, there's thoughts that Bobby Roode might go up. But he's also being advertised for NXT live events in September. Not that he can't do both, because it's the same company. But either way, hopefully this is a good match. It's another NXT TNA moment here, but some of these have been really good, and some of them not so much. Hopefully this one's on the really good side. This is kind of hard to predict, just because they could go either way, like Paul said. I'm going to go with Bobby Roode retaining, though, because they could easily do it kind of just depends, right? If they want to move him, he loses the title, you could do the Roderick match a lot easier without the title, and then he moves on. If he retains, then you'd expect for him to, then his next program is strong at the Survivor Series TakeOver then, or maybe they do it on NXT and he still moves on, who knows. But I just feel like Bobby Roode is going to retain here.
Yeah, Drew McIntyre winning the NXT title, sure, that would be super exciting. I think that the crowd there, would be super stoked in the Barclays Center. I think that would be a huge pop. But here's the thing. I think that, fans will still be happy with Bobby Roode retains. And I think also for the fact that I don't know that I need Drew McIntyre as an NXT champion. I don't know that I'm sold that he desperately needs that to happen for him to eventually move on to the main roster. I think having him in the picture is smart. It's a good idea. But Bobby Roode is such a great champion. He's such a great guy at being that heel that everyone loves to hate. So I'm going to go with Bobby Roode. with this one, but I mean, trust me, it's not without me thinking that there's a possibility that McIntyre could walk away as the NXT champion. And if he does, hey, I'll be just as happy as I am if he doesn't. So I really am excited about that match. And, you know, I'm excited about this entire card. I think it's going to be a really, really great show. This is one that I think we'll be definitely talking about for quite a while now. Now, we will actually be doing a review show for NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3. We haven't really discussed what night it'll be. I know last year, or one of the years, we actually did a back-to-back show between pay-per-views and did it all on one Sunday night. And then Monday morning, all those review shows were available to everyone. We're still working that stuff out and, kind of seeing what we want to do with that. But nonetheless, it will be available for you guys, so be looking forward to that. Another reason why you need to go ahead and subscribe to Wrestling to the Max if you haven't already. But yeah, that's our NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3 preview for you guys tonight. We're gonna do SummerSlam in a little bit here, but first we're gonna be talking some quick hits. But before we jump into quick hits, I want to mention one thing. Paul already alluded to it, and I want to make sure that people do know that the Mae Young Classic is coming and that we are actually going to have a show on the network all about it. And Paul and, of course, Harry Broadhurst and Patrick Ketza are going to be covering that in full detail, giving you podcasts. I think, Paul, did you guys decide on maybe 2 podcasts a week on this?
We're still talking about it.
Okay, that's fine. But it will be taking place, folks. And so once, we have Monday roll around and we have that bracketology come on your network, you're going to have those guys talking all about it. And, of course, as the shows come out, these guys are going to be doing some review shows over the whole entire Mae Young show, and I'm super excited about that. I am so excited about these guys in the commentary. Paul, I can't tell you how much I am ready to be educated on a lot of these ladies that I don't know anything about, a lot of the stuff that's going to come out of this Mae Young Classic. So I just want everybody to know, look forward to that. It's going to be coming up soon, and of course it'll be available for you this I think Monday, right? Are you out doing bracketology on Sunday night?
Yeah, we're doing bracketology Sunday night, sometime after we do SummerSlam, which we're still trying to figure out how we're going to schedule all this to work out in everybody's best interest.
Well, I think with me not working, I think we could probably finagle Saturday night for NXT to lessen the load.
Okay.
So
yeah, and I would be down
one show. That's one show we don't have to do. We can just do 2 on Sunday. Well, Paul would be doing 2 on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, there you go. So why don't we're going to work towards that. We'll go ahead and let everybody know. We're going to do our best. Check your your player on Sunday morning, and you should have NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. And then, of course, the next Monday, you need to be looking for SummerSlam and, of course, the Mae Young Classic show. I think that's a good schedule.
And even if you spoil yourself on, the bracket and further spoilers, these guys are going to give you so much great information that you still need to listen to know more about who you're about to watch. Because I hope if you spoiled yourself, you're still watching. Because that's kind of dumb, right?
Yeah. Exactly. There's a lot to be excited about. So we just want to let you guys know that before we move on too far in the show and give you guys a heads up on all that stuff. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into some quick hits. We got a few of them here that are really interesting. We'll be right back with that next.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
Take it away, Gary.
All right. Well, let's start talking about something that's kind of sad, but I think, everybody's really interested in kind of finding out some updates. Ric Flair has been a big point of interest for a lot of people because of his health and really, the fact that it has declined quite a bit here. What we're hearing right now at this certain time is the fact that, he has been having some problems with his organs, and he's in critical condition at the moment. We did hear from his girlfriend that he did not have colon surgery, but but he is having some other problems. But she never really got into detail. The family is really keeping this close to the vest, really keeping privacy to themselves, which is fine. That's okay with me. But what we do know is this is a dire situation for Ric Flair, and it really kind of a scary one. This is a guy. We talked about this on Monday, Paul. I mean, when you think professional wrestling, there's a couple of guys you kind of think about sometimes. Yeah, sure, one of them is Hulk Hogan, but the other is Ric Flair for sure.
Ric Flair for sure. Just defined an era of wrestling. Just a tremendous, tremendous guy who really elevated the business, and obviously best wishes and good vibes and all that good stuff continuing to go towards Ric Flair. Hopefully he can pull through all of this, but when you have multiple things going out on you or going that way, it's usually not a good time.
Well, he's one of the greatest that ever lived. So, talk about I think the wrestling world is going to be in a very, very somber place if that happens due to these complications here. So,
yeah.
The sad fact of everything is that, the one you can't beat is Father Time. So, that time will come for all of us, but you hate when it happens in situations like this with, he gets a surgery, you don't know what it is, he's having organ trouble, just going out like this kind of sucks. And, hate it for him, and obviously this affects Charlotte too. She's gonna have to. I wonder if it's hard for her probably to wonder if that's a reason why she's not having a match at SummerSlam and everything else.
Oh, I'm sure. She's got a lot of stuff on her plate right now. And it would be kind of also interesting, if, I don't want to say it's going to happen or if it would or anything, but, losing her father would be a big impact on her, and especially for the fact that she'd be the last one in her family left in the wrestling. At least have anything to do with it for the most part. So it's kind of scary to think about, and I do want, people to know, and we did a special show for Roddy Piper when he passed away, and I guarantee you, Ric Flair is going to get his own show from us. So you guys need to know if anything were to happen. We will be definitely talking about this in depth, and I don't want to say that. I don't want it to happen, so I'm not going to allude to it's going to be near the future. But, this is a situation, and we want you guys to know what's going on. It's just, we're hoping for the best. Well, I'm sending prayers, wishes, thoughts, all that to Ric Flair and his family, because this is not fun. I want to see the Nature Boy back in gear. All right, well, let's talk about something else that's kind of interesting. Let's talk about Triple H and the fact that he has told us that the Mae Young Classic is a test. Yeah, well, not a test really on the women's division, but it's a test for binge watching on the network. That's right. If you didn't know already, they'll be releasing 4 episodes at a time on the network as they go through the weeks. And that is to kind of see how people handle that. Like, do people like, to watch wrestling like they do Netflix shows? That's what they're kind of gearing into here and trying to figure out. And Sean, that's something I have to ask myself as well, because, I can watch, I don't know, a show.
They did that with Camp WWE, and they did it with the Holy Foley season 2.
Yeah, it's all reality stuff.
Right,
that's not a wrestling program.
That's what Gary was saying. Like, it's different to do it with a regular show, right? Like, Defenders is about to hit Netflix, or it's up there right now, and people are going to binge watch it probably all night long and be done watching it, the next day. But with wrestling, it's a bit different because we're used to this setup of what we've had for so long and the Cruiserweight Classic did it too, of once a week, you're watching your show, the next week it comes on, like you watch your episodic TV every week, on other stations. So, I don't know, I feel like this works for wrestling too. It needs to, because this is how the network, I think, is going to survive. Not everything can be watched like that. I mean, we already watch so much stuff, and I think this is a problem that's going to become an issue for everybody else is if you schedule things out to every day there's a freaking show, then people are going to get burned out even more. So I feel like letting people watch things when they want is a better decision. The only thing is, the negative is, the hype, you don't get as much hype for it because you don't have that time to be hyped for the next week or whatever, because now you got to wait a week for another batch or whatever. And are people going to be watching at the same time? So are you going to have the ability to talk with people about it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think spoilers is a big thing they're worried about. They bring up all this, though, because the Cruiserweight Classic, they said, kind of petered out as far as network numbers went because it was appointment television, and they want to avoid that happening again. And Triple H, during this conversation, too, brought up how this is how people are watching TV now, not only just people in general, but especially younger people. And that seems to be something they're trying to target a little bit with this, too.
Yeah, they really want to get it down and understand some of those dynamics because, they've had other shows on that have done pretty well, but not great. And I think they're trying to find that perfect formula, really get into how people watch, what people watch, and exactly what's going on when it comes to their habits. And so that's understandable for all this. You got to be, interested in seeing what this is all going to shake out to because of those reasons, right? I mean, I want to know. I want to know how people watch because I know how I do, but I want to know, what everybody else does as well. Well, let's talk about a guy like Shelton Benjamin that we haven't seen in a long time. Reportedly, Shelton Benjamin has officially signed with WWE. And, we were really wondering if this was going to happen. And, after that injury, I guess he's healthy enough. But, Sean, I mean, this is another big move for WWE.
Yeah, I feel like we talked about this like 20 times.
I know.
So hopefully this is the, we actually signed him time, so we can see him show up on SmackDown or Raw, because he was originally going to be a SmackDown guy, and he appears, and we can actually talk about him wrestling and being there. I've heard people saying, I kind of want him to be a manager for Chad Gable or just be a wrestler. I kind of want to see what he has first in the ring. He was still pretty good when he was in Noah and New Japan, so I kind of want to see what he's bringing. And then, hey, we'll go from there.
Mm-hmm. I'm really intrigued by the idea of him going to Raw and having Kurt Angle talking to Jason Jordan and being like, look, man, I got this great tag team partner for you, and Shelton walks in, and that's sort of how they move forward with those two. I think that worked out really well for both guys, just because it might help people kind of at least change a little bit of their opinion on Jason Jordan, because they're not buying the Sun storyline so far. So I'm happy for Shelton, though. I'm interested to see what they want to do with him.
I mean, why would you buy it? It's preposterous.
It is absolutely preposterous.
So, I mean, it's kind of like, I think maybe with Gable they might have bought it a little bit more, but like it's just, it also doesn't help that Gable goes around using the ankle lock and using other moves of angles either. But I think what this also helps in the whole, well, here's somebody from my past, maybe he can help you along kind of thing, and you can continue the father storyline, but adding more layers to it. However, I know Gary is probably waiting for Charlie Haas to appear, and that's when the storyline's going to get better. But
that's my goal right now. Like Charlie Haas, I've been following him around town. Charlie, you coming back? You coming back? Yeah, I heard you're coming back, right? You're coming back. Huh? No. I mean, it really is interesting. I mean, I think Shelton Benjamin, a great worker, a great guy we've seen on the indies, for a little while now. And for him to be back, it's another great addition. But the real question is, man, they're just signing more and more guys. Where is this going to, taper off, I just don't know. I mean, he's going to be definitely a great help. But, man, it just amazes me how much money they're spending on talent right now. So.
I mean, and he wind up like, Bubba Ray, and Devon and even the Hardys to an extent, they're sitting here on the pre-show of SummerSlam of, well, you're a veteran and we'll feature you for a little bit, but then you'll kind of go to the wayside. And it's like, if you're signing, this is those kind of decisions you have to make, right? Like, okay, are you going to sign for the money, or are you going to sign to still want to be a top guy? So, I'd assume Shelton's probably just signing just to have a place to work, get some money before he calls it a day or whatever. But, if he still shows that he has some big ability, it'd be nice to see if maybe he can get the title run or something like that. If, say, he does get this tag team thing with Jason Jordan, or even if he goes to SmackDown and does something, getting a U.S. title shot or something. I mean, I could see him being an open challenge guy for AJ if they wanted to go that route too. So either way, there was an interesting possibility for Shelton.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really looking forward to it. I just want to see it take place and see how they handle Shelton Benjamin in 2017 and how it works in WWE. I think it's going to be a very intriguing situation for a lot of people. Let's talk Global Force Wrestling now. They signed a couple people here.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I was about to say, Gary's cutting out pretty bad here.
Uh-oh. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes. You just cut out to a point where we couldn't hear anything.
Oh, wow. That's weird. Okay, so anyway, Paul, can you tell us about some of these new Global Force Wrestling signees?
Yeah, so they've signed 2 new knockouts. Kiara Hogan from Women's Superstar Uncensored up in New Jersey. She's their current Spirit champion. Apparently she's been a big fan of Impact for a while and all this stuff, and now they finally signed her. She seemed super jazzed whenever she announced it on Instagram. And they've also signed Hanaya, who used to be Saturine from Chikara way back when, if anybody listening remembers her. I was a big fan of her work there, so I'm looking forward to see what she brings to GFW. And all this too. She very much that lucha style, all that good stuff. I haven't seen a lot of Kiara's work though, so that'll be a new one for me. But everybody, Hanaya, I'm super pumped about.
Doesn't Hanaya play some kind of wolf character?
I think this is different from Hanaya the She-Wolf, but I'm not sure.
Ah, okay. I didn't know which. I saw people talking about whether it's her or like you. Like they were confused about whether it's one or the other, but yeah, I'm excited to see both of them. I haven't seen either one. A lot of hype about Kiera Hogan. A lot of the Mae Young Classic women congratulating her and everything. So that's cool to see, and it sounds like GFW got them 2 great signings. And look, the Knockouts division needs help. So.
Mm-hmm. This is the former Hanaya, the Howling Huntress, by the way.
Ah, see? There you go.
Yeah, so we have seen more of her work in the Women of Honor stuff with Mandy Leon.
Oh, okay, wow. There you go. So interesting stuff. I'm really kind of, once again, on the outside looking in on this because I don't know these ladies, and I know you guys just kind of talked about it a little bit, so I'll have to wait and see what we get out of them. Now, we're talking about Global Force Wrestling. Maybe they have room on the roster, maybe because another guy didn't show up. Tyrus did not show up at the tapings this week, and this is interesting, Sean. I mean, he's a guy that Global Force has kind of had that really, honestly, he's been more mainstream than a lot of the other guys. But, he's become to, believe that really they don't have much for him over there. He's being kind of handcuffed and kind of treated like just another guy that's second fiddle to everybody else.
Well, I mean, he's not wrong. He hadn't done anything really super important in a long time. So, he's been bodyguard for this dude and that dude, and he shows up in Preacher? I mean, so if it's not him, it's sure somebody looks like him. So
it is him. Wow, that's definitely him.
So I'm just like, you show up as the bodyguard for everybody, apparently. So, what's the problem with you continuing to do it in GFW? I still say that he just really hasn't been the same guy since the Funkasaurus character. And I continue to say that. It's one of these guys that he found a gimmick that worked. He gets let go by WWE, thinks he can find greener pastures, and he doesn't. Sad for him, but obviously he's not doing without gigs. He gets on TV shows and movies and stuff. He was on Glow. Mm-hmm. So, look, good for you, man, that you can exercise your power like that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't think this is going to endear him too much to the GFW office, to the point that they're going to use him. But I mean, if you feel like this is going to make your point, then good on you, right? I mean, I don't know if you're necessary to what they're doing right now, but if you feel this way, then absolutely do it. So, I mean, hats off to you, Tyrus, I guess, for being ballsy enough to do it. I don't think it's going to make the point you want it to.
I mean, the positive thing we can say about GFW, they keep getting rid of the older talent. Mm-hmm. So, the older wrestling talent, I should say. And hey, Tyrus, you keep holding out. Guess what they're going to do? Well, see you later, man. But I don't think Tyrus may not care either. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Probably not. I mean, the guy's got a lot of other gigs going on. You just talked about it. I mean, he's done Preacher. He's got these movies he's done. He's also working with one of the political, I don't know if it's Fox News or CNN, I can't remember. I think it's Fox. But he's Fox News. So the guy's got other gigs going on. I mean, he's not, shortchanging himself. He's making sure that he's got other type of bookings, even if it's not in wrestling. So, and not only that, he's more of a mainstream guy than some of these other people that GFW has. So, I think it's a really positive, and I think something that really, kind of keeps him free to make these kind of decisions to decide, you know what, I'm not going to show up. I'll just do my own thing, and hey, better luck to him. Maybe he'll do something different that really makes him happy, or goes on to another promotion that wants to use him in a different way. So,
I'm surprised Lucha Underground hadn't come asking. I could see them using him.
Yeah.
All right. I think
if they knew if they were going to have another season.
Yeah, I that's very possible, and I think surprisingly, he probably work out pretty well in Ring of Honor. We know he can wrestle. I mean, the dude's not short of talent, and I think he works a punishing style, and he still likes to throw suplexes and all that. Like, it's a style that I think would be beneficial for him if he did want to go to Ring of Honor.
Hey, I'd love to see him in Ring of Honor. I think he would do some good.
Mm-hmm. Him and Fale could be a good tag team in New Japan.
Over there in New Japan, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Speaking of Fale, did you see his head tattoo, Sean?
Yes.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Channeling some Bam Bam.
That's awesome, though. I love it.
It's really cool, yeah.
Talking about this stuff, we're going to move and talk about something else that's kind of interesting here. We got some things going down, and one of those things is the fact that some of the UK guys will be taking the off, and they'll be hanging out in NXT this next week in some tapings. So we expect to see a lot of those guys. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, me too. They were in this week for the Progress shows here in the USA, which both reportedly did very well, even though they totally oversold the New York show, almost double the capacity limit. And now they're being brought in here. It's not known whether they're going to be on the pre-show Brooklyn tapings or the tapings they're going to film on the 25th, but they will be on NXT.
That's good. Again, we talked about getting these guys work on WWE because they need to remember who they are. So, yes, the more NXT tapings they can do, the better for these guys. And the better for their futures as far as let's be honest, even if the UK show never materializes, all these guys need to be in NXT anyway. Mm-hmm. It's because they're so great and they've proven it. Especially Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne could literally be on the WWE roster right now, main roster, if they wanted him to. He's that good and he's that unique, but it's whatever WWE wants to do. I guess they're still holding out hope for that show. But I just like seeing them get work on something I could see more regularly, and always excited to see them in NXT.
Mm-hmm. am too. I think that's going to be super cool. And hey, anytime I can get some of those great UK talents in and mixed in with the NXT group, it's special. So look forward to seeing that. And one last thing we're going to talk about here in Quick Hits is something that I think is kind of funny, but something that really we haven't spoken a ton about. We've a little bit here and there we touched on, but it's Enzo Amore. There's been controversy. He's been kicked off the bus with the Roman Reigns saying, "Hey, you don't cut it here," doing some things to get heat amongst the talent. We've heard he even got kicked out of the locker room. And there's also been some other things. So his name has not really been the cleanest when it comes to popularity amongst the WWE talent. But we're hearing that this cage match that he's going to be stuck in on Sunday and hung above the ring is all on purpose because he's afraid of heights in real life, and they think it's a real torture. It's kind of like a rib on him, right, to make him actually go up and be in that shark cage. So I think that's kind of funny. But the other thing also is the fact, really, a lot of the word going around is this guy hasn't been fired because he's one of the better guys in the merchandise sale. So, wow.
Be a star, WWE. Be a star. You go and tell kids all the time about things, and then you sit here and you be a dick to your own talent. I mean, look at this. If the dude is really a fear of heights, that's a thing. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, you can make... What if he has, like, a seizure or something in the cage? I don't think that's going to happen, but, what if he does? What if he has, like, a convulsion or something in there? Are you going to stop the match or what? I'm not... Look, I'm going on the extreme end of things, but still, like, I'm assuming it's not that bad where he can't be in the cage, but if he is, this seems like... It's really assholey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, this
I don't know what else.
This could be total BS too, for all we know. This is just reports and rumors, but I find it real funny. Like maybe they're gonna send him in there with a pillow and blankie just to keep him calm. You lay down and it'll all be over before you know it.
Fall asleep during the match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, I don't blame him. I'd kind of fall asleep between Big Show and Big Cass too. So. Yeah, it's just,
Yeah. It is better than their first idea of using a zip line, so... at least
God!
Oh my God. Ow.
Yeah, they thought better at that. Yeah, that's a disgusting joke. Anyway,
yeah.
I know.
Line crossed. Welcome back, Sean.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's from my appendix vein that is telling him that he sucks right now.
Yeah. Oh boy, so I'll try not to hurt you too much. But yeah, no, I think it's interesting that I really do want to know the truth behind this, though, because if this is all about ribbing Enzo Amore, it's kind of funny, but yeah, kind of cruel at the same time. I'm afraid of clowns. I don't like clowns very much, so I would be pretty upset if someone did that to me. Stuck me
So
in
we
the
need
cage
to
as a
zip line
clown.
Gary into a rogue clown. That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
I'll save you, Gary. I won't put anybody through that.
I'll say you're afraid of clowns too, so you may be right on me.
I mean, I don't know who really wants to walk through anything with clowns, even if you're not scared of them like that. Like, that's just not the greatest thing to look at, honestly. It's just one of those... I don't know. It's that same, I almost equate it to, when you look at that, bed of cockroaches. I mean, that's pretty much what looking at a bunch of clown faces is.
Mm-hmm. Or, Roger Goodell's face, one of the two.
Oh, wow.
Anyway.
Boom.
Well, let's move on.
I'm glad we're never having him on this wrestling show.
Yeah. It's a real big positive because I don't think I can be on. Let's move on, though. Let's talk SummerSlam. We've got to talk about this big show. Lots of different matches that we've got to talk about here. So let's get going. Let's jump into some SummerSlam talk here, guys.
You could get high or you could get low. You could stay young or you could grow old. Let it go. 'Cause I'ma go for broke. You could go hard or you could go home. You could live.
Take it away, Gary.
All right, well, let's start with the pre-show. This is going to be a kind of an interesting pre-show because we got some matches here that have some belts on the line. We'll start with the WWE SmackDown Tag Team titles. That's right, the New Day will be taking on the Usos to see who will walk away the champs. I'm really curious what you guys have to say about this one. I think I'm going with the New Day myself. What do you think, Paul?
It's a real shame this is on the pre-show. These guys have had awesome matches. And for them to get stuck on the pre-show with a shortened time, it's just kind of booty, if you ask me. But I'm sticking with the New Day here too. This doesn't have to be the end of the feud either, just because there aren't a lot of tag teams on SmackDown. I feel like you could get a little bit more mileage out of this while you keep doing whatever you're doing with Breezango and the Ascension and all that good stuff.
Yeah, this sucks. I hate that they get. We have to deal with commercials for this too, and they don't deserve it. They had the best match on Battleground. The only reason to watch Battleground was for these guys, and they get put on the pre-show. They should have been given an award for making Battleground passable. Instead, we get this. I guess you can go with the old saying of, well, more people watch the pre-show. Well, I see what Paul did there. It's booty. So, I feel like the New Day are going to win here. They're probably going to hold them for a while because SmackDown has no other tag teams. And that's a detriment to SmackDown because New Day deserve to have a title reign with some damn good matches in there with damn good tag teams. But again, we're just failing to realize that you need a line of them in order for these things to work. But whatever works for this company, I guess. I just hope they have another killer match because they've been delivering every time. And yeah, New Day retain.
Let's talk about the next match, which is the Cruiserweight title match between Akira Tozawa and Neville. And this one's going to be kind of interesting. I think it could be a good match as well. But, Sean, who do you think is going to win this one?
I feel like if Akira Tozawa loses here, you're hurting him in that the way you had him win on 205 Live. Yeah, I feel like as much as I've loved Neville, Akira Tozawa needs to retain and have a reign for a little bit. You're trying to establish him still as part of the Titus Worldwide thing, all that stuff. I honestly think he could be bigger than the Cruiserweight division, but it is what it is. The dude has earned where he's at. And for him to just lose the title back to Neville would be kind of really stupid. So, I just don't know. Like, you're having him be on SummerSlam, retaining in front of this crowd that you might be full of people that might actually know him would be a good idea. Having him retain to win later down the line on 205 again, kind of silly to me. So, Akira retains.
I picked Akira to retain here too, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised if WWE switched it back, just because, one, they've been known to do that, and two, there's so many more well-developed faces on 205 Live that Neville could feud with, and he's really, I think, the only super strong heel they have right now to keep going along with that. And you could say Brian Kendrick to a certain degree too, but they slotted him into a gateway to the top sort of position right now, so... There's that, and I forgot what other point I was going to make. So Tozawa retains.
Yeah, I think I'm going opposite of you guys. I think Neville's going to win here. And the reason I say that is because Titus Worldwide was way over the moon and very, very happy with Akira Tozawa winning. Made a huge deal about it. I could completely see it going the other way because that happened. And maybe even Dana Brooke somehow screws him over or something because she wants to be a part of the Titus Worldwide. And maybe coming out to support and screw something up. I don't know. I'm not saying that's going to happen. It's just something to me is going to be fishy. Neville's going to find a way to get the victory and get the Cruiserweight title back, and maybe Akira Tozawa starts trying to get back on track to get the win again. So that's the way I'm going. Going from here, though, let's talk about the Hardys. And, Kurt Angle's son, that's right, Jason Jordan, they'll be teaming up in this tag match against The Miz Taraj. And, of course, Maurice will be ringside as well. This is one, Paul, that, I don't know if I'm really excited about watching, but I think it could be good, but it's not one I'm just thrilled to watch.
Yeah, this is something that absolutely just has pre-show written all over it, right? So, it'll be there. I assume the Hardys and Jordan will win again here and just keep making the Miz look like trash, but who knows? But I'm picking the Hardys and Jason Jordan to get the victory here.
Yeah, this got made this afternoon officially by WWE. We all got the alert, so yeah, this was made as a hey, we need a third match of the pre-show, and we kind of forgot that Jason Jordan's a bit of storyline on Raw, so let's put him on the show, and then all right, they make this match, and so Hardys win with Jason Jordan.
Yeah, this is going to be, interesting. I just think the baby faces are going to win here. I think the Hardys will win. I hate it. I want the Miz Taraj to win, but I think this is just kind of something to, basically be for the Hardys to get a victory here at SummerSlam. Really not even about Jason Jordan, because I don't think anybody really cares about Jason Jordan at this moment. So, we'll see. Well, let's get into the main part of this show, and let's start off by talking about the Raw Tag Team titles that are going to be put on the line by Sheamus and Cesaro, and they'll be facing off against the guys that used to be the Shield, Ambrose and Rollins. And wow, this could go many ways, but Sean, how do you feel it's going to go?
What match are we talking about again? Sorry.
The tag titles for Raw, the Rollins and Ambrose versus Cesaro and Sheamus.
Sorry, I had Grandma calling for something here, but yeah, I feel like if you're going to have main event caliber guys go for the tag titles, they're winning them. I don't feel like you're having them be in the slot for them to lose. This kind of sets that story in motion of whatever they're telling for them to be champs, so they kind of have to deal with each other more. If they're not champs, they can kind of go their separate ways or whatever. So, yeah, this just kind of works very convenient. I'm just excited for this match, though. These four in there, this is going to be awesome. Cesaro is going to be, flipping Rollins in the air for that uppercut, and Ambrose and Sheamus are going to be going at it. It's going to be fantastic stuff. The match is going to be, I think, more exciting than the result, but it adds more to that story. I think that all interweaves things here.
I agree. I think this is a sneaky match that could steal the entire show for sure, just because I'm a big fan of all four guys. They can all work insanely well, and given the right circumstances such as these, especially with a hot story going for Dean and Seth right now, you're probably in for a treat. I'm picking Cesaro and Sheamus to retain here, though. One, because if Dean and Seth actually do manage to work together throughout the entire match, I wager that one of them will make a mistake or something like that because the other one's doing something the other doesn't like, and they kind of have to work their way to getting the belts, which I think not only helps the tag division that's still sort of struggling over on Raw, but it helps keep that story going. Or Dean turns on Seth here, which is totally in WWE's realm of doing something immediately to get people's attention to watch Raw the next night and do the heel turn, and you can feud from there if you want as well. Just my 2 cents. That's sort of how that night. I don't think I'm really ready for Cesaro and Sheamus to lose the belts just yet either.
Yeah, and that's kind of the way I'm going to. And it's for the fact that I think Cesaro and Sheamus have just, I don't know, they've kind of surprised me as being tag champions, and for the fact that, it just feels right. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'm excited about Rollins and Ambrose becoming those tag champs and then trying to go on runs and find new heels, tag teams to face, and all this stuff. I just don't know if I'm ready for that. So, yeah, I think that the tag champs retain here. Let's talk about John Cena and Baron Corbin. This match is going to be one that, I think you could maybe say, well, duh, but then again, maybe not. Paul, I think John Cena, I'll go ahead and give him the loss here, just because I think maybe he's going to go do other things, and Baron Corbin's going to cheat to win or find some way to win, but I don't know.
I think they spelled out pretty plainly what they think of Baron Corbin after this week's SmackDown, honestly. Failed cash-in attempt, and honestly, it's not like this feud has been super strong with Cena here. I'm expecting John to just sort of beat him, and we can move along, and they'll either keep Baron in the mid-card or they'll keep this going, but I don't like Baron's chances much after Tuesday.
Yeah, it's hard to think that they're going to do anything positive with Baron at this point, but it also might have just been them saying, you know what? We don't really feel like he has the spot of the pay-per-view to cash in, so let's just do it early. So that maybe there's more surprise and more excitement for the Carmella one. Who knows? But I could easily see them thinking that they could get heat back for him cheating to beat John Cena, and then they resolve things on SmackDown or something before John Cena goes to Raw. Or maybe things just stay unresolved and he goes to Raw. That's the big rumor, right? That he's going to Raw. So, he could do whatever he wants. He's a free agent. He's also got, movies coming up, like Gary said. So, I feel like, giving Corbin some kind of cheap win doesn't really hurt anything at this point. But like Paul said, this may not even be close. It could just be total burial of Baron Corbin, the man that used to be the lone wolf we all looked up to at one point in NXT.
Yeah. And, John Cena tends to make people the lone wolf after he has a match with him. So that could be very, very true. He could live up to the nickname. Let's talk about match that,
the lone wolf
I'm really kind of curious.
No longer with the company line?
Or just maybe not even the lone wolf, the lost wolf. Like all of a sudden you order something, John Cena faces you, and then you find yourself in purgatory.
No, I was going to bring up that, Tom says that in 5 months, Baron Corbin is not going to be in WWE, so.
Oh, wow. Well, that's a hot sports opinion for sure. Huh. You never know. Maybe you're right on that. Well, one thing is sure, we're going to have the Demon King Finn Balor take on Bray Wyatt. And Sean, this one could be kind of fun, but then again, it could be a huge letdown. I don't know which one it's going to be.
Well, we're going to get the Demon, so you're going to get a bit more aggressive Finn, so the match won't be boring. I don't know, I kind of hope it's over quickly or quicker than, just don't go 25 minutes or something. And I think we'll be good. Just Finn's going to win. And there you go. Finn's going to win.
Yeah, this is all about pageantry and stuff and making something special for these two as far as the pre-match stuff goes. But this is really just an easy win for Finn, I think, to get back on track. WWE still has done something I never thought they could do, though. They have made me not care about Finn Balor just because they haven't had him really do much. And sticking him with Bray, I don't think's helped him any. But hopefully this little reminder that he can do these sort of cool things on big cards gets people back on his side.
I hope so. If the Demon can't save him, I think we're in a really scary situation with Finn Balor. I really think so. But that's basically why I think Finn Balor is going to win. I really do. I think he's going to take this home. If he doesn't, they've got something else playing, and it better be big. It better be huge. Yeah. Well, you got Big Cass and Big Show taking on each other. That's kind of huge. And it may not be the best match and most exciting match on this card, but we do have Enzo Amore in a shark cage above the ring as they go at it. Looking at this one, Paul, I mean, to me, it screams Big Cass. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, it makes no sense to have Big Show win here, especially with the broken hand thing. This can play into keeping the feud going, as Cass, I'm sure, is going to target that hand, and they could say, well, Big Show, you beat a wounded giant, not the actual giant, and they can keep on going from there. But for sure, I think Big Cass gets the win.
Test Unknown Son continues to win matches. Why not? Let's just have this match happen, and Big Cass wins and move on. I've almost fallen asleep watching these guys wrestle like twice. So, if maybe Enzo screaming random things from the cage will keep us all entertained. He'll just say just the most random crap, and we will all stay awake with that.
Well, Sean, you're talking about falling asleep. I hope you don't fall asleep during the Randy Orton versus Rusev match, which could be possible too.
Oh boy. Let me tell you how not excited I am for this match. I don't know. I mean, depends on if Randy Orton's, he was kind of pissed at times with Rusev, so if he's pissed and he kills Rusev in 3 minutes, maybe we're just more shocked and we don't get to that. But if they have these guys wrestle for 15 minutes, oh boy.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah. I don't know. Randy Orton wins.
Yeah, I'm not at all looking forward to this. This is the one I'm really afraid is going to put me to sleep, just because I haven't given a crap about Randy really since the thing with Bray at WrestleMania. Rusev continues to be somebody I hope for good things for, but it just doesn't look likely. I don't like his chances to win here either. So I think Randy gets the Duke here, but I'm really pulling for Rusev to pull this out of the hat just because of my currently strong dislike for Super Randy.
Yeah, there's no one more boring to me right now.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that. Great worker and all, but it's just so lackluster. I don't even care who wins this match, to be honest with you. I mean, heck, I hope Enzo wins this match. I don't care. It means nothing to me. But yeah, I'll say Randy Orton. It makes the only sense. It's Randy wins, but still, I just don't care. Let's talk about something else I do care about, and that's the United States Championship match, which is going to take place with Kevin Owens and AJ Styles, with Shane McMahon as a special guest referee. And really, I mean, this one's another one. You have many options here, Paul, that could go. I don't know. I'm having a real problem with me figuring out who's going to win this one.
This one was pretty easy for me. I think AJ wins. You're going to have some craziness here with Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon. And it could just be that Kevin Owens accidentally hit Shane McMahon or on purposely hit Shane McMahon, and that's what tosses the match out. But I'm just kind of ruining the fact that we may not get that straight-up AJ Styles, Kevin Owens match one-on-one that could lead to something really great. But instead, we just keep getting stuff that's focused on other areas instead of great wrestling.
Yeah,
exactly.
I agree with Paul. This seems like you're leading to a Shane McMahon Kevin Owens match.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's at Survivor Series or they have a Shane and Kevin Owens team, and then that leads further down. This is leading to something bigger between those guys. This sets that up. AJ Styles wins. Whether they have stuff where Shane gets knocked out, they bring in another ref, and then Shane ends up knocking him out or whatever, and ends up counting the fall or whatever it is. Shane's got that fall, and AJ's retaining.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we've talked about in the past, the superstar shakeup. It could really affect this match because either of these guys could go to Monday Night Raw, and whoever's holding the title is not going, most likely. So I think AJ wins out here. I think it's a good opportunity for them to really spark that feud between Shane and Kevin Owens even more. Let's talk about the Raw Women's Championship match between Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks. And Sean, this could be one that's really could be a great match.
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that there's a Twitter dedicated to Sasha and Alexa Bliss hating each other since like NXT. And like all the times that like Alexa would come out and Sasha hates her, like glares at her, or eyes roll or whatever, and like stomping the crap out of her and all this stuff. So this tells you how much they're like that whole thing of that they played on Bring It to the Table was there's real stuff there between those two, and so hopefully we get to see that this match. Hopefully we kind of go back to having really great matches on Raw for the women. So this is their time to shine. Bayley's not here. Sasha comes in. And it kind of depends on where they want to go with this, right? Like, if you're still planning on the Sasha Bayley at some point, I feel like Sasha needs to win.
I said this back at Great Balls of Fire, but I think Sasha wins here too, just because, one, it helps freshen up the division, and two, I think that Nia title reign's coming sooner rather than later, and I don't think they want to do Alexa versus Nia. I think they want to do Sasha versus Nia again, and Nia, realistically, I guess could face anybody just because she is sort of the big bad overshadowing everything while everybody else is just sort of fighting each other, so... But I think this is a great time to put the belt on Sasha to make a really sweet moment, too, for somebody who put on such a killer performance in NXT Brooklyn all those years ago now and can come back and win the title here.
As much fun as it would be to see Alexa Bliss retain, I think you're right. I think Sasha Banks winning here would be a huge moment. I think it also sets up for things in the future. If we do want to get into the realm of maybe Bayley and Sasha Banks having a big match, that could be something to look forward to in the near future. So, I think that's the week I got to go at least too. Let's talk about the SmackDown Live Women's Championship match, and that, of course, is Naomi versus Natalya. And Paul, I mean, you said that one of the ladies could be losing their title. I think Naomi is not going to lose her title.
Yeah, I think Naomi retains here too. I like this match on paper. Natalya works great with really great athletes, and that's what Naomi is. Even though her wrestling at times could be a little bit sloppy, I think Natalya can help rein that in, being the veteran here. And I actually think these two are going to put on a great match. I also wouldn't be so shocked to see Natalya do a lot of limb work on the legs, maybe to tease and get the sharpshooter in a couple times, and just for Naomi to overcome so strongly that Carmella maybe comes out during the match, thinks about cashing in, and then doesn't after she sees how strong Naomi looks.
I could also see them talk about pulling ribs on people. Pull a big rib on Natalya, have her win, only for Carmella to come in and cash on her and have her lose. Just to, keep that whole thing with Natalya, like, never really getting anything. But, yeah, I feel like the story is always between Carmella and Naomi. And so I could see where, like, maybe Naomi barely beats Natalya. She just is exhausted after having this, like, great match or whatever. Carmella comes down, cashes in on her, and Carmella wins a champ at the end. But Naomi wants up retaining.
Yeah, I think we're kind of on the same page on there. So we'll have to see, if for some way, somehow there is that cash in. But for myself for now, I'm going to stick with Naomi. Well, let's talk about these World Heavyweight titles. We'll start with the SmackDown one first. We'll talk about Jinder Mahal taking on this guy who, everybody's kind of curious to see if it's going to be his, big chance here, Shinsuke Nakamura. Sean, I know it would be amazing to see Shinsuke Nakamura win his first title in WWE when it comes to the main roster title. What do you think, and who do you got winning here?
Sorry, I had to move around because the appendix was starting to hurt, or where my appendix was.
Lack of appendix starting.
Yeah. So pain shocked me, and I didn't hear what you said, Gary. I'm sorry.
Okay, Nakamura versus Jinder Mahal. Who do you got?
Oh, that's also why it's trying to forget this match was on the card. So this could go one or two ways here. Nakamura gets really up for it because he knows he might win the title, or Nakamura takes one of his days off because he knows he's wrestling Jinder Mahal, and we have one of those, the same match that we had with Baron Corbin and Nakamura. We have it here with Jinder and Nakamura, and we're all going, what the hell's happening here? I hope that we just get a really motivated Nakamura, because he's going to beat Jinder and Nakamura becomes champion, maybe? I don't know. I'm going to go wishful thinking here. Just Nakamura wins. Please, for God's sakes, Nakamura wins. Jinder Mahal, the experiment is over. Please.
I think the second Jinder won the title, this was the circled date on the calendar for when the experiment was going to be over, whether it was John Cena or AJ Styles or Shinsuke Nakamura or really anybody else on the roster who they felt like maybe give it a go. I think this could also go with maybe a secret option C of Shinsuke just runs Jinder over in 5 minutes and they get this over with and move on to other things. Just because, Shin is sort of the someone who they're really behind right now and all that good stuff that you hear about, big stars and Jinder's sort of, I don't want to say is a failure, but it wasn't exactly a success either. So, I definitely think Shinsuke wins here. It's just a matter of motivation or running him over.
God, I wonder if Randy Orton's going to get mad and be like, oh, I couldn't win. But then you had Nakamura win. Okay, I see how it is.
Maybe you should be more motivated, Randy.
Go learn some dance moves, Randy. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Paul sounded like Eric when he yells at my buddy that does the soccer podcast with me. He does that with Don Garmer, the MLS commissioner. He's like, Don, I'm telling you to do something. Paul just...
There you go. That's awesome. Well, let's talk about one last match here, guys, on this card for SummerSlam. Let's talk about the Raw Universal Championship match. And this is that fatal four-way we've all been waiting for. Brock Lesnar comes in and is facing off against Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, and Samoa Joe. And boy, Sean, I would love to sit here and say that Samoa Joe walks away the Universal Champion. I don't think so, though. I still got Brock Lesnar. Who do you got?
I'm going to hope that this is the one that I feel like Brock's going to retain. I hate saying that. I really do. I feel like this is your moment where you could give Samoa Joe the championship and he could get a nice little run with it for a while just to see what he does as champ. But I think now with the knowing that Brock's not gonna be fighting anybody till like next June, he's not losing that title anytime soon.
I mean, if you want an opportunity to move the belt off of Brock, this is the way to do it. And whether he's actually just done and wants to focus on fighting now and take all that time to recuperate and train and get back into fighting shape instead of wrestling shape or whatever, I think this is where you move the championship, just because I feel like it's time. Samoa Joe, I think, has the least amount of chance to win here, but I think he's probably the one that I know all three of us want him to win very badly. I'm sure there's a lot more people out there listening to the show right now that want him to win very badly. I don't see it happening here. I don't think it's time to try the Roman Reigns experiment again, but knowing WWE, I'm sure that thought is in their minds. I do, however, think Braun Strowman has gotten over pretty well, even if it's just because he's beaten up Roman Reigns so many times that people just can't help but love him, and he looks damn near unbeatable about 95% of the time. I'm picking Braun to walk out of SummerSlam with the championship. I think it's time.
Ooh, I like that prediction. So, it'll come down to seeing which of us is right, but all that matters is that this match is good and that, it's going to be exciting. I think, honestly, even Roman Reigns, I'll throw him in the picture. I think any of these guys walking away with the belt is a good deal. I like the majority of these guys. I'm not a huge Roman Reigns fan, but hey, I'm winning the belt. I mean, there'll be lots of heat. There'll be lots of different things going on with it. I think, though, all four guys are definitely reputable for holding that World Heavyweight Championship. So we'll have to see how it does shake down. And, of course, if you want to hear us talk about how we felt about everything shaking down, make sure you come and check us out Monday morning. That's right. We'll be releasing our SummerSlam review then. It'll be a lot of fun. We hope you guys, definitely check out that show. Don't miss it. But yeah, we're going to move on in a second here, and we're going to talk Lucha Underground. We also got Global Force Wrestling to talk about too a little later on. But before we do, I just wanted to kind of, I should have done this earlier because I'm kind of a bad host, I guess. Sometimes I don't think of things. But I wanted to mention, and this is for the fact that Sean is, still recovering from having his appendix taken out. He's not allowed to walk upstairs. He's not really allowed to do some of the things in his daily life, and so he's kind of sacrificing himself. He had to get a laptop, and he's doing things a lot different than he's used to when it comes to podcasting. But that's why you may have heard some distractions, and Sean's trying to get comfortable because he's basically bucking up to help us.
I'm having to
sit to be part of the show.
I basically have like a bed, and then next to it is a laptop with this like small, one of those like tables that the tray tables you use to eat in front of the TV or whatever sometimes. It's sitting on that, so I got to make sure I don't knock that over when I'm moving around. Then I'm in this open air area. My grandma's sleeping in the next room, and I'm trying not to like scream so she can sleep. She's already like wanting to kill me. So, so if you heard me like going up and down a lot, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, that's why I just want to let people know what's going on. So, I mean, be patient with us if you would tonight. I mean, that's why some of the distractions and all that. But, I'm just glad he's on the show with us and not having to, miss because of all this. It's a good deal. So that's a little heads up for everybody. All right, well, we are going to jump into some Lucha Underground. I'm really excited about talking about this show. It's going to be one that I think me and Paul have lots to say about. So let's go ahead and jump into that next.
Let's do it. All right, so this is the semifinals for the Cueto Cup this week. We get the opening video package to recap, and then we jump into Cage. Working out in the weight room. Excuse me. Katrina appears out of nowhere. No RKOs to be had here, though, unfortunately. And she wants to know how Cage feels about the gauntlet and all this other stuff, and tells him it's this dangerous magical item and it's going to overtake you eventually, and all these terrible things are going to happen to you. And she wants him to just give it to her because it's going to be much easier this way and all that. And Cage said he's never done anything the easy way, and Katrina promises him that the hard way is going to be so much harder. Cage goes to do a back fist with the gauntlet, and Katrina has disappeared, obviously. So lots of magical stuff going on here.
Yeah, it really is, and it's weird as it kind of sounds. It's actually kind of interesting, and I love the interaction Katrina has with Cage and all that. I think it works, and I'm just so in tune and really wanting to find out what's going to happen with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really fun. I think this is the backbone of the entire promotion storyline right now. So this is always really interesting stuff whenever they have all of this going on. And we move into Dario's office afterwards, where Joey Ryan shows up. Dario says that he's embarrassed for Joey because he lost in the first round of the tournament and feels embarrassed for him. Joey, however, is here to reveal to Dario that he believes Vienno, the Spider Mask person, is Cortez Castro. And Dario says, well, we can't really have that, so next week I'll book him against Sexy Star since she seems to be having trouble with all these spiders, and a mask versus mask match. And then Dario sends Joey Ryan packing. So, match made for next week, and this is the first time we've heard about the Cortez Castro story in a while, and it makes sense to do it now that you're starting to ramp up the relationship between Katrina and the police captain Vasquez.
Yeah, you're right on that, and they've done a pretty good job of kind of trying to get back into it and really feed into that story. So I think it's interesting. It may not be my favorite thing on the show, but I definitely find it interesting.
Mm-hmm. And then we get to our first match. Prince Puma takes on Fenix in the first semifinal match. This, I don't think I need to tell you, this was awesome. Lots and lots of energy, lots of big strikes, lots of dives. I can't really call everything on this because it would just be too much. But Prince Puma, big knee strike and a Michinoku driver sets up Fenix for a 630, and this is after Fenix has fallen victim to a Marty the Moth distraction as he appears behind Melissa Santos and gives her a good fright before Fenix moonsaults onto him to sort of take him out, and that would spell doom for Fenix. But he still got Melissa, so I think he's still the winner.
Yeah, he still wins. I mean, got to give him hands down that. But, the distraction, feeds into the loss. And, at least both guys come out of this looking really good. And I'm really happy for, Puma to continue on. But still, I mean, Fenix has worked so hard and had so many great matches. I kind of feel bad. But then again, like Paul just mentioned, you can't lose with what he's got going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this we cut backstage again after the match is over. Mil Muertes is now working out, and he's hitting a punching bag, and he's hitting it so hard that it's shaking the entire temple. As you get these surprise reactions from like Sexy Star, whose water is shaking, and he punches the punching bag off the hook, and it hits a wall, which is apparently next to Dario's office because it shakes that entire back wall there and freaks him out. And Katrina shows up and tells him you should save some of this rage for Pentagon. That's when Cage shows up and attacks him with this huge weight from the weight room that he was in, and then hits him with the gauntlet a couple times. And Katrina uses the magic rock to sort of get Muertes to rise up again, and tells him it's time to go beat up Pentagon after Cage, attacked him. And to his credit, he's selling it the entire way down the entryway into his match with Pentagon next, and we get this great brawl between the two that ends with Pentagon basically taking advantage of the injured ribs where he can, ending it with a double stomp to them to get the victory and move on to face Prince Puma in the finals next week.
This is one that I'm looking at and, thinking to myself, two monsters going at it. I mean, how much are they going to give us? How much of an impact is it going to be, when both these guys get in the ring? And I think they did a good job of mixing it up here. It really was a back and forth. And I think really on commentary, they put it over pretty well. I don't know about you, Paul, but I thought they did a pretty good job of really setting the stage for this match. And I'm a huge Pentagon Dark fan, so immediately, when he's in the ring, I don't even realize who else is there. I just, as long as he's upright, I mean, let's do it. And I think the only people that can, mess him up may be Joey Ryan, but of course he has a penis that can suplex people, so
that's true.
Yeah. So, needless to say, I hope they don't fight. There may be something else in an arm breaking. But anyway, let's talk about the fact that wow, that could be very fun to watch.
I want to see it now.
Yeah, I know you do. I also think about Marty Scurll breaking fingers. What else could he break? But yeah, I think this match was good, and it had stuff too. But I love the way scientifically Pentagon Dark knew what to do. Right? Mm-hmm. He knew as long as the stone wasn't being held up, there was no power, and that's how he got his victory. And I'm glad Intelligence won the match here.
Absolutely, yeah. And Pentagon's been, I think, the big star that they've literally taken from the ground up, at least here stateside, and built into this absolutely huge star who's just leaps off the television screen, I think, every time he comes on. So this was the right move for sure. Post-match, he tries to break Mil's arm, but Mil escapes. And that leads us into our main event segment, which is Johnny Mundo and Rey Mysterio having their big face-off. Dario comes out and he's hyping the big title match next week. And he wants to be here to witness it all because he loves when wrestlers talk shit to each other. So Johnny Mundo comes out with security. He says he's here to crush Mysterio's dreams. He's going to take him to Slamtown, all the usual stuff. And then he starts joking about Dominic. And this really gets under Rey's skin, and he leaps and attacks him. Security is absolutely useless. And then this just kickstarts something straight out of the ECW/WWF Attitude Era stuff, where suddenly you had the Worldwide Underground coming down to protect Johnny, but then here comes Sexy Star and the Mac and Dragon Azteca Jr. to save Rey and even up the sides. And then you have Mil Muertes come in, who ends up attacking Mysterio, and then here comes Pentagon, and then here comes Cage, and then here comes Joey Ryan and Marty the Moth and Fenix, and all these people who are having feuds. Dante Fox and Killshot show up, and it's just absolute chaos, and it's so well done, because, I mean, there's all purposes. Like, everything in Lucha is basically tied together, and that's what makes it so cool to see all this happening, and before a big show next week where maybe a lot of these guys aren't going to get a lot of time, this just reads really, really well, and it makes for a super awesome moment.
Yeah, this is something that was just a lot of fun to watch, right? I mean, you had all these stars and all these different people that you like to see in their feuds. It's just, it all breaks down here. So I think the crowd loved it. You could definitely hear it in their voice, but I mean, just even watching it at home, you could feel the energy off, your TV, and know that they were doing something that was really cool. So I think it was definitely positive. And in the end, of course, they're going to settle it back down and go back to what this whole thing started with. But I think overall, great ending here. Really enjoyed the whole brawl.
Absolutely. So, I mean, next week you have the Cueto Cup Finals. You have the big Lucha Underground title match and that Mask vs. Mask thing to look forward to. So, great episode of Lucha ahead of us next week, Gary.
Definitely. Really, really excited about that one. So, be looking forward to that one for sure. All right, well, moving on, we are going to talk some Global Force Wrestling. That's right. We've got Impact on the way right after this. And, of course, we don't have music for it, so we're just going to let Paul, we're going to let you pop right into it, man.
Yeah, we dive right in. Lashley shows up to the building. He's got American Top Team fighters with him and their owner, Dan Lambert. There's a big hype package. And then we get this interview, or attempted interview, backstage with Bruce Pritchard. He sort of blows her off, and he's got a big surprise in store for everybody tonight. So we'll go ahead and cut to that, because that really shapes this entire Destination X episode of Impact. Pritchard comes out to address the world title situation. Obviously, Alberto El Patron has been stripped. We know that. Basically, he goes over all of that, what led to that, and to fix the issue, he wants to revert the championship back to the previous champion in Lashley. But instead of Lashley coming out to receive his championship, out comes Jim Cornette, who has apparently been given a position of authority with from Anthem to help fix things here in Global Force Wrestling and to get everything back on track. He runs Pritchard down, pretty much says he's here to push his own agenda and this big arrogant guy, and he's going to make sure that things get settled the right way. And the first thing he does is fire Bruce Pritchard, and says we won't really ever see him again. I'm sure we will. However, he's going to make a 20-man gauntlet for the championship next week, and the winner, of course, will be the new champion. LAX comes out, and Conan wants Loki to basically be given the championship because he was the number one contender. He was supposed to face Alberto El Patron this evening. That's not happening anymore, but what Cornette does is make him number 20 in that gauntlet. So, lots of stuff to really dive into here, but what did you think about Jim Cornette coming in here, Gary?
Jim Cornette, definitely a great charismatic guy. I don't know that he's going to save Global Force Wrestling, or if they're just doing this just to get more people to watch their show, but I think that, he actually is fun. I think he could be really interesting and a great part of this show. It's kind of funny to me when I was sitting here watching Bruce Pritchard and Jim Cornette, on the opposite sides, and they're still sitting in the ring. I'm thinking to myself, man, so there's 2 more podcasts added to Global Force Wrestling. It's almost like, hey, if you got a great podcast and you were part of wrestling, come join Global Force. But no, really, Cornette, I think, offers something. He may be older, but I think he really does offer, just not only his charisma, but also some of his, legend, if you'll say it that way.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And Jim Cornette still makes the news a lot. Obviously, Bruce Pritchard does have that hugely popular podcast going for him, but I think Jim Cornette's much better in this role than Bruce is personally.
I'm right there with you. Bruce Pritchard's good at a few things, but really being in this role is not one of them, I don't personally believe. Excuse me. But I want to say I love what they did here, because you mentioned, making the 20th spot, with LAX coming out low key. I love that. I think that made so much sense because they were facing a situation where common sense says that low key gets screwed here. Mm-hmm. So instead of just ignoring it, they made it known. They made a point to right the wrong. I'm glad. Very happy.
Yeah, me too. And I guess logic sort of persists later on. Cornette's backstage. He's making a deal with somebody over the phone. Moose and EC3 show up. They want in the gauntlet, so Cornette says they're in. Then Mr. Adonis and Eli Drake show up. They want in the gauntlet as well. Cornette puts them in, but Eli is going to be in at number 1. So clearly Cornette has it out for this guy already. And then let's go ahead and talk about, I think the big main event here is Lashley takes on Matt Sydal, with the winner getting to choose a title shot against any champion they want. This is going to be sort of a theme, I think, for the episode, because a lot of the wrestling on this show was very disappointing, and it's not like these guys didn't get time or anything. I don't know if these guys just didn't connect, or they didn't work well, or whatever was happening here, but it just wasn't, I think, what it was meant to be. But Lashley dominates a good portion of the match. Sydal gets the big hope spots, and ends up getting the win with a quick roll-up after Lashley misses a spear and runs into the post. And then post-match, Dan Lambert and the American Top Team are all disgusted with the loss and start attacking the referee. But Lashley sort of calls him off. And then we get this big video package for Johnny Mundo showing up. He's going to be on Impact these next couple of weeks. Both him and Taya, according to the news. So
Now, how exactly does this work? I mean, did Lucha Underground okay this? I mean, this is amazing to me that this happened the way it did.
So I have to think with Vampiro being the head honcho for both AAA and Lucha now, this is how it's happening, right? He's giving permission for people to come over and work here, so long as you're with both AAA and Lucha, I think is what they're doing. And I don't think, as much as they keep saying Lucha Season 4 is going to happen, it's not set in stone yet, right? It's just they have the spot and everything like that. So I think this is more of a just-in-case thing, because if Lucha does go belly up and not make any more content for a Season 4 or anything like that, then a ton of great workers are going to be able to show up on TV, and I think that's what GFW and AAA is sort of banking on here as far as getting a new outlet to get their stars over.
Yeah. Okay. Well, fair enough. So now we kind of understand that for sure. But and I'm excited about it. I think, when Johnny Morrison, or whatever they're calling him, shows up, it's going to be great. And I think, man, I mean, what a great addition to this roster. That's going to be super spectacular. I love the Cornette thing you mentioned earlier about, Eli Drake getting the number one spot because he felt like he was number one in the company. I like that. The match itself we were talking about, I mean, it's a world title type match in a way, if you want to say it that way, because Matt Sydal's been kind of put in that situation of, being a bigger name, at least part of Global Force Wrestling. So I would even measure it in that form, but not the type of match it just as itself, though. I mean, and figure and on paper it would look like that, but what they gave you here was just kind of, it's okay. Nothing super just blows me out of the water with it. So it is what it is. Sydal wins, and I guess the push to make him something continues.
Yeah. What did you think of the new look for the titles, by the way?
I don't mind them so much. I thought they looked pretty decent. I mean, not the prettiest title I've ever seen, but I don't think they were hideous.
I agree.
How'd you feel?
I don't think they look great. I really like the look of the women's championship personally, and I like them making the world title sort of stand out more with everything else being in silver and that one being the only one in gold, I guess, besides the Impact Grand Championship, if they're keeping that around still. So, it looks. I mean, at least everything's matching now, right? I think that's what's important.
Yeah, that was my biggest concern. I mean, when we heard that, Patron was going to get stripped, I thought that was the best positive thing, was we were going to get one title, and we've had that for both. So for all of these other ones, very, very happy.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. So let's jump back. We got a lot of X Division action on this show to talk about. So the Super X Cup finale is on this show as Desmond Xavier takes on Taiji Ishimori. It's during this match, too, that they have Josh Matthews revealed that there's going to be a GFW network coming soon, in the same vein as the WWE network and everybody else that's got one, New Japan World, stuff like that. This is another one I had a lot of high hopes for, because I think the X Division's really been so good on Impact Wrestling and the build up to all this, and you get something that's just kind of there, right? I mean, Desmond Xavier and Ishimori, they have a good match. It's just you never believed, I think, that Ishimori was going to win, and Xavier obviously is the right call to win. I think he's a great young talent for the division and all that good stuff, but it doesn't mean that you should kind of, I guess, you should have still gone all out for this, right? I think that making a great impression by having an awesome match here would have helped Desmond Xavier so much more instead of just winning and the whole tournament,
Yeah, I'm right there with you too. I really wanted this to be something super special. I thought it could be. I thought it had the potential, and it wasn't super overwhelming. And when it comes to being really good for me, I just kind of thought it was just kind of bland at points, and at some points it was, well, that was good, that was great. Let's see him do that again. They just kind of started to slow down again. So I don't know. I think I had high hopes for something that just kind of undersold. So, but happy for Desmond Xavier.
Yeah, he's a great talent. He's going to go real far in this business, whether it's in GFW or elsewhere, for sure. Before I forget, too, it's been made official. Grado is getting deported he gets a chance to say goodbye next week, as according to Joseph Parks. So unless there's a midnight hour wedding coming our way, I expect a whole ton of shenanigans next week.
Yeah, I do too. And hopefully it'll be good shenanigans, funny shenanigans.
Yeah, I agree with you entirely. So, X Division title ladder match. Sanjay Dutt defends against Trevor Lee. Trevor Lee has, of course, stolen the belt, and now it's completely up for grabs here. Dutt wins in about 15 minutes. You have Caleb Conley come out to help Trevor Lee for some reason. I don't recall there being an alliance here, but he comes out and attacks Dutt. Ends up powerbombing him through a table. But wait, Petey Williams is back. He comes in, big Canadian destroyer on Caleb Conley. That got a lot of people in the crowd to pop, and a lot of people watching at home to pop as well. And Williams then tries to rally Dutt, but he gets hit with the ladder, and they make you think for a second maybe Trevor's going to walk out, but Sanjay ends up springboarding onto the ladder, knocks Lee off with a big forearm and grabs the belt.
You know, this is something that I kind of thought was interesting too, and I don't know what I took away from it so much. Mm-hmm. I think it was, I think it had some solid, I guess you would call it hardcore type things involved, right? I mean, I think that at points they did a good job using the ladder. I thought at points they did pretty okay. They had the table spot there at the end and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know, Paul. I don't know why I was still not just loving it. Mm-hmm. I don't. And I think a little overproduced. I think the fact that they kept getting up there and trying to get the title and, just couldn't do it, I can't do it, and then all of a sudden, something the last minute, I think it was just a little overly produced. But I think in the end, though, it makes sense for what they wanted to do, and I'm okay with it. But, some parts of it just was not happy with.
I just didn't feel like they really utilized the stipulation all that well. They use the ladder here and there, but it's mostly just them wrestling back and forth without really doing anything real big. I think that table spot with Connolly is maybe the biggest one in the entire match. And I mean, you're watching this for something big to happen, and it's not. And not to mention the interference is kind of null and void because they used that match in the opener. Are that the same sort of type of thing here with the interference in the opener that just really made this feel like it did matter. And not to, I don't know, like I like Petey Williams, but he's not really going to move the dial for you, I think,
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's the problem here. And Global Force is going to have to deal with some of that. Really, a lot of these guys are bringing off the indie circuit. Unless you're a big indie fan, you just don't know those names.
Mm-hmm. It's also like older talent that Impact really maybe should move past and try to discover some of this younger talent that's out there on the indie circuit.
Mm-hmm. It's great to go back in time, especially with former TNA X Division champions. It's wonderful, super awesome. But the people have to understand there's still a lot of people like myself who weren't around at the beginning of Impact Wrestling. So you could bring in some guys, and I would never know they were a part of the show before.
Right. That's fair. That's fair. And let's go ahead and rewind to that opener because it's the Knockouts title match as Sienna defends against Gail Kim. Once again, the work here is solid. It's just nothing super great. Taryn Terrell runs in near the end here, attacks Gail Kim with a big cutter. Sienna hits the AK-47 to retain. I really enjoyed Taryn Terrell at different parts of her TNA run. The Dollhouse was great for a while. Her first match with Gail Kim was surprisingly incredible, and they kept trying to remake the magic, and I don't think they ever quite touched it again. But it's a nice something I think for Gail Kim to go out on, or at least continue her retirement tour by revisiting a big feud in her career. So I think that's kind of nice. But other than that, I don't know what else you're gaining.
Yeah, not much. And, look, I mean, Gail Kim being involved in this match definitely helped it. Sienna just doesn't do anything for me. I really don't have much to say that's positive for Sienna. But, I mean, in the end, I think that, Sienna, being the winner here via, basically having Tara and Terrell come back and save her,
Mm-hmm.
it worked out in their favor. But not only that, I mean, you get Gail Kim out of the way, and you're going to do whatever you want with that division. So I like that mindset, that thought process, and maybe she'll put it into play or maybe won't. But I think, overall, just kind of a lackluster performance at points, and then at times, good. But for the most part, I just didn't care too much about this match on its own.
Sienna isn't helped either by the way they've booked this. I don't think she's had a single title defense that she's won clean, and she might have had one that I'm forgetting about. But it's it's KM interfering, or it's Congo Kong and Laurel Van Ness interfering, or it's Taryn Terrell now interfering. And it's the same problem Bobby Roode had during his world title defense, where she doesn't feel very legitimate. And for somebody like you who already kind of struggles, I think, to connect with her because as much as she does, I think she does a good job of portraying a character, but her in-ring work never really connects with me. So I don't know. They're not doing Sienna any favors by having this be the finish here. It would have been much better if you had her beat Gail clean and then have Taryn come in and sort of rub salt in the wounds, I think.
Yeah, you're not lying. And now that Taryn Terrell's there, it's going to be Gail Kim all the way for her.
Yeah.
Really, honestly, I mean, not a whole lot of room for, anyone else in that point. So I'm curious to see if they'll eventually get this, but I'm worried that they're going to keep that title on Sienna for a bit.
I think they are. I think they are, because I just don't know who else in the division they can really have to challenge her. She's beaten Rosemary, and now she's beaten Gail. I'm struggling to think of another face in the division.
Yeah, really.
The last thing we have to talk about is OVE's debut as Jake and Dave Christ take on Jason Cade and Zachary Wentz. Jason Cade's a great talent. I hope they kind of keep around too. I've seen a lot of his work in Full Impact Pro down there in Florida as well. Wentz is somebody who I'm not overly familiar with, although I have heard the name before. I don't think they do an awesome job of really showcasing what the Chris brothers are all about here. I think they just sort of barely scratch the surface. It's a 2-minute squash. These guys can do some absolutely insane things, and them and LAX will probably be some phenomenal wrestling, but I was hoping for a great first impression, and they don't really give that to you here, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just... usually, yes, you debut a tag team against a squash or just to give them a squash against whoever you want. But just at this point, it did okay. I mean, I get it. They, one of them can kick really well. The other one uses his arms and blah, 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 and all that stuff. But in the end, I mean, I think, it was just there. And that's not what it should have been. It should have been, oh my God, OVE has this huge matchup against this person, and then let them win there. Not this way. I just don't think it worked too well.
Yeah, I mean, I think they missed a fundamental part of what they're about, and that's literally all the crazy stuff they can do and should be doing. And even just if you got a small taste of it with the big running finisher or something like that, like they like to do on the indie scene, like you don't really get that here. They just sort of win.
Yeah.
That's Impact. Hopefully they can fire it back with a much better episode next week with that gauntlet.
Yeah, for sure. I think all of us will be really excited about seeing who does come out of that gauntlet as the number one. So, all right, well, that is Global Force. We'll move on now, and it is time to crown a Superstar of the Week. That's right. So we'll be right back with that right after this.
Superstar of the Week.
Go for it, Gary.
All right. Well, we've got 1 point given to Punishment Martinez.
Yeah, Punishment Martinez, Flip Gordon had a great match on Ring of Honor TV this week that I would absolutely recommend everybody go out and watch. It's really cool to see Flip Gordon sort of get to be who he is and just flip around and really get the fans behind him. And Punishment is there with him every step of the way. So just Punishment wins, so he gets the point.
2 points are being slid over to War Machine. And I think we may have lost Sean. I'm not sure.
No, that's unfortunate. War Machine successfully retained the IWGP Tag Team Championships during the G1 final against Cody and Adam Page. In a really good match. It was a great brawl, and Cody and Adam actually worked pretty well together, too, which I think was another surprising factor, just because they don't have a ton of tag team experience together, or any that I'm aware of. And War Machine just continues to look great over there in Japan, and people just keep falling more and more in love with these guys.
3 points are going to a guy that has a dual personality this week in our Superstar of the Week. Ricochet or Puma, whichever one you want to choose.
So Ricochet has the big week on Sunday. Him and Ryusuke Taguchi win the IWGP Junior Tag Team titles off of the Young Bucks. And then Prince Puma this week on Lucha Underground, who, of course, the Breaking Kayfabe here, the same person, has that wonderful match with Fenix that I would absolutely recommend you go watch as well. Big week for him, 3 points for this guy.
And then we got 4 points given to Kenny Omega.
What a weekend he had, right? 5-star classic with Okada to win the B block, get to the finale, and creates this absolutely electric atmosphere for the finale against Naito in the G1 climax. And unfortunately, he just comes up a bit short to the eventual winner and Gary's, boy at heart. But Omega put in an absolutely stellar performance throughout the entire tournament, and this weekend was just, I think, the big highlights of it all.
And yeah, you're talking about my boy at heart, and the best choice for the G1 winner, Tetsuya Naito, is the guy that gets 5 points this week.
Yeah, wins the tournament as expected, and just because it was expected doesn't mean it was any less special. The entire crowd wanted to see him and Omega go one-on-one again after last year. They got that. They get this incredible matchup and an insane atmosphere. Naito gets the win. The crowd goes nuts and loses their mind. He's going to the Dome, or at least is penciled in right now because he's going to be defending that briefcase across the fall and winter months going towards January. So congratulations, Naito. You absolutely deserve it. What a rock star over there. Just a great, great talent.
Yeah, I still love him. And I don't get to watch all his matches, but when I do watch him, man, I still am reminded every time why he is so special to me. So really happy about my boy being the G1 final winner. So thrilled about that. But there you are, Naito, congratulations. You were our Superstar of the Week. But guys, that is our show for the week. That's right. We have covered a lot of great content. We talked NXT Brooklyn, talking about SummerSlam, giving you all our predictions, plus 2 great review shows when it comes to Lucha Underground and GFW. And, of course, did some news topics that were really fun. So there you go. That is all of our show for tonight. Of course, Sean was able to be with us. He had a few things going on. I think he's, still trying to recover. And so I'm very forgiving for that because I know it's got to be a lot of, pain and a lot of struggling to sit in one place and try to do a podcast while you're, trying to basically get healthy again. So, Sean, please get better. I know you're dealing with it and you're, working through it. We just hope better and bigger, stronger things for you, sir. But yeah, we've got some great stuff still coming this weekend. We, of course, will be doing the NXT Brooklyn review show Saturday night, and of course SummerSlam Sunday night, which those shows will be available for you on the download the next day. And don't forget, too, one of the coolest things I'm super stoked about, and that is the Mae Young Classic bracketology by these guys over here, Paul Leazar, and of course Harry Broadhurst, Patrick Ketza. Those guys are going to do a great job. Paul, I'm really looking forward to that. You guys are going to educate me. It's going to be so much fun. So make sure everyone checks that out as well. Put that into play because you're going to get education just like I am. Besides that, I think, we'll have some more great shows for you next week, review shows, and of course our regular episodes of Wrestling to the Max. just a ton of stuff we had to do tonight and a ton of stuff to look forward to this weekend. I can't wait. I wish Saturday night was already here, but it's not long before it is. So we'll be looking forward to all this cool stuff. Of course, don't forget W2Mnet.com for 11mania.com. Hey, go subscribe at Wrestling to the Max or the W2M Network. Both are great. Hey, YouTube is also available there for you guys to go check out and subscribe to. And, once again, thank you for joining us. Of course, I am your host, Gary Vaughan, saying good night, along with Paul Leazar and Sean Garmer. Catch you guys down the road.
Have a good one, guys.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.